This is Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at February, everything about it, from the blessings to things we want to watch out for or potentially change. As you know, when it comes to these, I keep a pretty wide open array of whatever is the most helpful information to you. But something really interesting happened today when I was looking into the card reading. Specifically, as you can see, these beautiful cards in front of me, I felt drawn to use them today. This is the Before Tarot deck. You can get this on Amazon. I think I got it on. But anyways, this beautiful tarot deck, which I actually haven't used in a while, is fantastic. It actually has a sister deck that I also have as well called After Tarot. And it takes the model of the classic Rider-Waite deck. And this showcases the archetypes and characters in the cards one moment before. So what's their headspace? Where are they at? Right before they make a decision in what we know as the classic Rider-Waite deck, where they're sort of immortalized in that moment. And then in the After Tarot deck, you get what I'm saying. It's what happens after they make that decision or they stand in that power. What happens right at the moment afterwards. So really a great way to dig even deeper into the card meanings on its own. But as I was reaching for this tarot deck, I was actually approached by the Spirit of Tarot, which was kind of, I don't know, I felt like I was like a celebrity. I feel like I've met them before, but not very often. So I got very excited when I was like, yes, you have a message. And they not only requested I also use that tarot deck, but they said specifically for you guys this month, you want to view the decisions you're making not as the present moment, but as the moment right before everything else happens. And I kind of counter questioned this because it's really good and often we are asked to be present when it comes to living life. No matter what you feel or believe, that's often a positive thing. It's just to be present, let everything happen as is and just be here in the moment. But in fact, they were saying if you take on the mindset right now during February that and potentially in the future, just something to think about. But as you move forward and you take on the mindset of this choice that I'm making in each moment is going to be the defining trajectory, is that how you say it? For what happens next, what decision do I want to make in this moment? They want you guys to become not only more conscious, again, we're not trying to make you overthink your choices. It's more you're trying to say, what energy do I want to bring to this thing I want to manifest or thing I want to bring to life? How do I want that to unfold potentially from my choices now? So a good way to think about it and try not to overthink about it, because we do want to try to avoid that, is you just take a moment to pause and let's say you're going to make a cup of coffee. I know I use that classically. As you can tell, I love coffee. So it's often on my mind. But you're going to say to yourself, how am I about to make this cup of coffee? And at first you might be just thinking, oh, classic, the way I normally do. Okay, well then, will that bring about the same reactions? Are you hoping to keep things the same? Are you open to the idea of a new change of course of action, path? And then you think to yourself, well, there's someone I care about. Maybe this is a friend or a coworker you feel close to, or maybe potentially you want it to be more with somebody. And you think, could I, in this moment while I prepare my coffee, also make it for somebody else? But then maybe it's not about making an additional cup of coffee and bring it to someone else in order to start a new conversation or forge a new connection. Maybe while you're making your coffee, you're thinking, could I try out a new way of making it? And see it as a fun opportunity to, sometimes that little change can kind of make you question your other actions in the day of could I change it and make it a little different in the next way I approach the next idea, and so on and so forth. Or maybe you're asking yourself as you're making this cup of coffee, could I put energy into it? Could I fuse into the coffee, not unlike Reiki, as a Reiki master myself, but any type of energy that you're putting in there? What am I putting in this coffee? Am I in my head and I'm disconnected from the act of making the coffee and maybe unintentionally putting stress? Am I having fun and putting fun into the coffee? You're thinking, when I drink this, I'm going to experience something magical and whimsical and synchronicities, just whatever it is. What are you doing in this moment the coffee as an example, that could potentially positively affect the next. How do you want to steer the energy? How can you be a more conscious manifester, creator, person that is creating their reality? And again, we're not trying to overthink it, but we're just kind of checking in with ourselves and being conscious of the next decision. Also, sometimes that's really good when we're making emotional decisions. It's really good to like kind of catch ourselves and go, is this the person we want to be after the anger has settled or the emotions have settled? Who will we be happiest with at the version of ourselves at the end of this? And I'm not saying there's one clear answer. I'm just saying asking yourself that. Now, that being said, let's get into February. Also, I have to show you this before I get into this. I thought you would think this is funny. So she looks pretty cool. She's a cool Queen of Wands. I like her energy, right? Why did they make... Here, I'm going to open this box up. Look at this silly man. Tell me this is not Lord Farquaad, right? Like his blonde, like, cousin or something. What is this? Anyways, so, that being aside, let's get into this. We've got 4 crystal groups in front of us. This was a request from you guys, and I've been wanting to bring it back again. Crystals. I love crystals. I do want to specify that it's been so long since I've thought of the name of crystals. I cannot even remember. So if you remember what these are, I know this is angelite. Please shout out in the comments below. It's been so long. But you don't need to know the name of a crystal to feel connected to it. And honestly, I agree with the person who suggested this. This is a great way to connect to the cards. So we got group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you a moment to connect to the crystals and think what feels like the message I need most right now. Or whatever, intention you want to do. Anyways, I'll give you a moment to do that. Okay, who's excited? Let's get excited. Please, let's get ready for group number 1. Group number 1. Let's look at the cards and see what's going on for February. We got Wheel of Fortune in reverse, King of Wands in reverse, Queen of Wands in reverse, and Knight of Wands in reverse. Wow. Okay. Someone lit a fire under you. Or should I say in reverse? There's a sort of a withdrawal effect. But don't worry. I see a Wheel of Fortune card popping up here, so give me a second to communicate with the spirits. Okay, there's specifically I want to talk about the Knight of Wands first. There is an individual I see that keeps trying to get close to you and wants to, how do I put this? They seem like they want to get close to you, and they will do this in any way possible. So there's kind of this energy of, in some cases, it's romantic. In some cases, I'm seeing somebody who wants to feel like, oh, you can really trust me. You can tell me your secrets. Now, they are not trying to use anything that you tell them against you. They just want to create a false sense of bond because they want something from you. Now, the thing that I'm specifically seeing they want from you, it feels very like when somebody wants, like work that you do for school or for your job, and they want to sort of see what you're doing to either take credit for it, copy it. They want to use it as like a major influence. So there's this sort of false bond they're trying to create. And it's not for the reasons that you're hoping it's for. It does seem like it would be kind of exciting if they talk to you, but the energy I'm feeling from this person is you're not particularly into them. You weren't really, your hopes weren't set that it would happen with them. It's a little exciting that they're giving you attention, or they would like to give you attention, but you're fine. You're good. This wasn't on your mind in the least. You could give it or take it. You know what I mean? Now, the good thing about this is I do see the universe massively standing in your way, or specifically their way, should I say, in order to prevent, and this is important, I do see that the work that they're interested in connecting to. So remember, this doesn't always have to do with something like school or work, as in your job. It can be like a project that you're hoping to make as a career job, or maybe you're in a career that's a little unconventional kind of thing, you know what I mean, like music or something like that. And what's happening is it's like you keep seeing or hearing about them, and maybe you keep hearing it really quickly. Blank really wanted to hang out with you this weekend. Are you going to that party later? Oh, you just missed them. Blank was just talking about you. And there might be a little bit of excitement that they are, maybe giving you some attention, even indirectly or by far. But there's this feeling of like it gets you excited for a second, and then it's almost like you forget about it. So that forgetfulness and that sort of lack of being able to really forge any long-term connection, like you keep getting blocked by the universe, by timing, by distractions, you just miss each other. This is the universe saying, hey, we just want you to know we have your back, and we not only have your back, but what you're working on is actually really good and will become something much larger. And we want to make sure that it happens. It's important not only to you and your life, but long term in a way it can affect more than just your own personal reality. And so we are going to make sure that happens. And we are showing you we're making it happen by showing that we're keeping someone at bay. Like you're aware, you're like in on the conversation that they're keeping someone at bay, and you're getting proof of it, but don't get it twisted, the excitement. It's almost like kind of the way I'm picking it up is it's like a metaphor of, how do I put this? Look how the grass is greener on the other side. And then you're like, you learn, oh wait, maybe it wasn't. I had this fear of missing out on this event or this party or this social group, and it really actually wasn't as cool as I thought it would be. And this is saying you don't even need to go through the heartache of a false connection that ends up ultimately get broken and ruins your work. You can just know that you don't feel that connected to it. You're seeing and observing it, and it can be exciting, but don't ever let that initially get you so distracted. I feel like in this day and age, and I'm not trying to call anyone out here, because this is more of I'm saying this more with sympathy and empathy, but I feel like we can often get pulled in, if you will, by someone being cool or attractive or feeling like they're where it's at, and it's almost lifted up to such a high status in society, it's kind of hard to stop and pause and go, but are they trustworthy? Or do I really want to do this? Or that sounds cool, but you know what I mean? Just stop and think. It feels like you almost have to take advantage of the opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So that's a major thing I will see. You're going to just kind of constantly miss them, constantly hear about them. And that's your sign from the universe that what you're doing is great, that it's something, keep working on it. It's the guarantee it's going to bloom. It's the proof that the universe is protecting you. And it's a great example of don't get distracted and question things because they might look cool, but they might not be what they seem. But in this case, the universe is protecting you from it either way. Then we want to move on to the relationship between the King and Queen of Wands, because they are in fact facing each other. There is an alignment here. But with it being in reverse, there is an unalignment. So there is an alignment in the lack of alignment. Now, the main thing I want to focus on is specifically feminine and masculine energy. There feels like a general disconnect from it in this month, which is really interesting. And I'm not just referring to, how do I say this? It doesn't matter your gender is what I'm trying to imply in this particular case. We're talking more about like the motivation of actions. When we're talking about feminine energy and masculine energy, there are different ways you are moving through space, time, actions. It's not as simplified as aggression or like demure. That's so old school. We don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? It's more like, do you take the background, the back path, the back rooms, or are you more direct? And with these being in alignment, it is saying that right now it is the time for you to sort of sit a little bit dormant. But what's really interesting here is instead of you getting the Hangman card, which is specifically talking about the idea of sitting on the sidelines, taking a break, observing the world around you, but coming back, instead this is saying you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel this weird offness. Now, when we experience things on an energetic level, we want to find reasons for it. And sometimes we even jump to conclusions than accepting what it is. Sometimes we can go, oh, is something wrong with me? Maybe I'm feeling anxious. Maybe I'm feeling sad. Maybe not knowing is making you feel those feelings. But in reality, it's just a very awkward sensation internally. And what's happening is both of those ways of approaching things seem to be your strong points. You know how to really be flexible in both of the departments we discussed when it comes to either being more direct or a little bit more behind the scenes when approaching and making choices and actions. But in this particular case, they're saying, yes, just so you know, that is great. That is a great part of your personality, and you should approach things in the future like that. But February, we got to realign some things internally. You're going through a big shift, big change. Most of that, I'm going to be honest with you, is because of sort of a giant universal change. So it's less about just individual decisions you're making, like a rebirth. Again, we're not getting the rebirth card. It's more like the universe is changing things up. And you're finding your sort of place in it, if you will. And so you could think of it on an internal spiritual level. You're resetting things up, you're resituating. And so the best thing you can do right now this month is to not make anything personal, whether with how other people respond to you. Don't think, did I say the wrong thing? Did they not like that? Man, I'm so off. Is something wrong? Pause. Relax. It's just a weird sort of reset, if you will. You're going to try to just sort of go with the flow, if you will, and accept that things feel a little weird and not give it more weight to make it more stressful. This is a really good month for you when you're going through this reset, because they're basically saying try not to make heavy choices and actions. You know what I mean? It's fine when we talk about this card of you sort of just kind of working on your little project. Well, I'm not trying to be condescending. Working on your project or your whatever you're working on. We talked about the homework or schoolwork or just general work for your job or something like that, or projects. But you're really going to step back from major decision making. This is the month for you to wander. This is the month for you to not know what you're going to experience next. And say you're going to go out of the house and maybe your intention is to go somewhere like a local fun shop, a thrift shop. Maybe you want to go get a little snack where you have to go to the place and, get a little ice cream or something like that, or coffee. And then the idea is that when you go to that, you're going to allow your instincts to be I think I'm going to go for a little walk around the area. Or you might feel you know what? When's the last time I took a little trip and walked in around the woods kind of energy? And you're just going to allow sort of the whimsy of the moment, if you will, to not only entertain you and give you comfort, but it's kind of where your headspace needs to be right now. So you're just going to feel a little bit weird because you're not fully feeling connected to yourself or the world, if you will. And then you're just going to kind of fill it with sort of directionless whimsy and spontaneity with no high stakes. So it's really what you're going to aim for, and you're going to try not to be judgmental towards yourself. And also, this is a great sort of awareness that going forward, you should keep, when you can kind of step back into those energies, you should lean into both of those energies pretty hard. Constantly bouncing between, okay, now it's time to be direct. Now it's time to switch it up and they're going to think I'm going to be direct. Now I'm going to go take a back angle and approach it in a different way. So it's going to be really cool, and I love that for you. And it's the reassurance of lean into it. That's your strength. Now, going forward, we have the Wheel of Fortune card, and I specifically want to talk about how the Wheel of Fortune card relates to the King of Wands. Now, in the King of Wands in reverse, we're seeing somebody who kind of wants to kind of get more specific, if you will, when it comes to his planning. Normally when he's upright, he's a little more, he's got this energy where he's fun and silly, but weirdly things always get done at the exact time they need to. He's more intuitive than you think he would, considering he's a wand rather than a cup, which is usually the cup is associated with the emotions. But it's because he is not following his emotions, he's following energies. So he's trying to keep the energy of the space upbeat and let things be open enough to give him signs to then make the right decision at the right place. And he feels that sort of like incubating in between by having fun is the best course of action in between actually making decisions. But in reverse, he's getting a lot more specific. I'm not saying he's not fun, but fun is no longer the main objective, if you will. Instead, the focus primarily becomes him saying, I need to be really specific about a couple goals I have. I want to be specific about the order in which I get them done. And I really want to be clear about some main, like, where do I want to get these points and choices made? So that means you're asking yourself this month, okay, as the month is going on, what am I contemplating for the next month, as well as long-term life? Because remember, we're not making any decisions. We're just sort of contemplating those decisions. I mean, you can write down decisions, but acting on them is different than like making a list, if you will. So he's making this list, if you will. He's thinking about it. When you're meandering, it's a good time to think about it. And you're writing this list and thinking, okay, I wanna start a business. Okay, where are you starting this business? Is this business online? Is this business out in the world? Is there a particular location? Do you want to be a mobile type of business, like when someone's in a food truck or they go to conventions? Do you want to be in one place? Like, what are these? These are questions you would ask, and you're sort of setting them up, and you're setting them up so that one goal is sort of focused one after the other, right? But then we want to talk about the Wheel of Fortune card in reverse. In the Wheel of Fortune card in reverse, we're specifically looking at the idea of something coming to a head point. Finally, a cycle is broken. Now, the interesting thing here is this is not a cycle you have been very conscious of, because it hasn't disrupted your life in a way I'm trying to put this in the best way. It's disrupted your life, but you're not aware it has disrupted your life is the best way I can put it. And so essentially what ends up happening here is the cycle is coming to an end as you're totally shaken up energetically in February. Again, not shaken up as in bad, but we talked about the reset over here. We talked about you being protected so you can really dive deep into creative ideas. We talk about you no longer feeling like it's hard to make big choices and this big list we talked about. You feel like you can start thinking about these ideas. You're giving yourself lots of sort of not rest, but like whimsical spontaneity, moseying about, not a clear any choice you need to make left energy you're creating throughout the month. So it makes it easier to contemplate, well, what is it what I want to do? What order do I want to do it in? And you can occasionally think this out and, have fun in between. And suddenly everything is so shaken up, so off, so weird that this sort of cycle that's kept you constantly on the same schedule. It's made it hard to feel like there's been some momentum in your life. You feel like you keep running into maybe the same sort of situations with people or experiences, and you just have to this point maybe a little bit assumed that it's part of life, but there's a part of you that knows, no, something's off. Why am I still experiencing? I know I'm better than this. I know I'm ready for that change. Well, your change needed to happen through a complete energetic shift, and thankfully it all perfectly works out for you. Now, what's great about this is going forward in the month of February, you have what you need now to feel more comfortable about it. Not only knowing what to do when we talked about the hanging around, walking around, being spontaneous, not putting pressure on the way you feel. It's okay you feel a little off. This is the reason why. But also knowing that it is time to just kind of sit back and not actively act on any actions. It feels like maybe you usually do this. You know what I mean? And this is you stepping back so you can be most comfortable in February. But we're also coming up with a plan now so that going forward after February, when everything sort of settles in, you feel a lot better energetically. You feel like you've even gotten a bit of a emotional and mental and spiritual break due to all the wandering and spontaneity and fun little kind of whatever magically happened that day type of feeling experiences you've had throughout the month. You're ready to go. You're ready to go. You're ready to make choices. You feel rested. You feel like you're more certain. You're more certain because you handled uncertainty so well, but it didn't have to be at the expense of your emotions. You know what I mean? So we see a cycle ended. We see some ways of handling some interesting energy, and we see a somewhat of a plan going forward after that. Now I'm just going to ask Spirit if there's anything else popping up. They said that's the absolute most important things you need to know. Oh, they said you're going to do great this month and it's going to be fun. Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm really excited for you. Happy February. Please leave a like on this video, subscribe, all that jazz. Check out the Patreon. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what's going on in your February by looking at the cards. We've got the Sun card in reverse. It says 9, right? Yeah. 9 of Cups in reverse. The Hangman in reverse. And the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Wow. Lots of reverses. February is going to be, I have a prediction that February is going to be a bit of a weird month for everybody. Give me just one moment to look at everything. And I'll be with you in a moment. Ooh, I can feel Spirit is being real vocal. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Sun card because Spirit is being vocal. And when they are, it like energetically goes through my body in like a very intense way. So they are expressing, and I'm going to say this a lot gentler than they are. I'm going to just have to say what they exactly said. You have to let go of the inner child. It's holding you back. Now, I want to be clear. It is so positive to go back, do the work, face those parts of yourselves, comfort it, love it, heal it, give it whatever it needs. However, in this particular case, you're letting it be too much of a dominant factor. Now, I want to be clear here. This does not imply, so let's say you like things that are a bit whimsical naturally, right? Maybe you are a doll collector. Maybe you like childish, quote unquote, toys and things. You find them fun to collect or enjoy or something like that. Go for it. That is not what we're talking about here. You can keep doing that the rest of your life. We're not talking about stopping that. We're talking about, when you are relating to others, and you go to maybe express your own personal stories, or in your head you may think, oh, they experienced this, the person talking to you. I remember this. And you might relate it back to yourself, even internally, and it brings up memories. You're allowing yourself at this point to keep reaching for that version of yourself so much. You're not allowing not only the present version of yourself to exist, but the potential of the next new version of yourself to exist. So it sounds a little harsh, but you're going to have to go sort of, if you will, on a diet and kind of maybe even stop yourself from reaching it for it so much just for the time being, so you can kind of get a better balance of who you are right now. Now that's going to be a little hard and awkward because the major thing I'm seeing is there's a part of yourself back in the day, that didn't feel heard. And so feeling like you're cutting that version of yourself off almost feels like you're hurting them again, and you're neglecting them, and you're not allowing that version of yourself to say what they want on their mind. Now, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just telling you what Spirit basically is conveying. But you've said what you've needed to say to yourself. You've already expressed those opinions. We're not trying to talk about repression or anything, but it's gotten to a point that we now need to say, okay, you've said what you need to say, but what else could you discover that you'd like to say right now in general? Not comparing it to a past experience or what could have been or what caused you frustration right now. Who do you want to be right now? Just be loved right now. Allow yourself to be creative right now. Be playful right now. And so you're going to really kind of catch yourself when you're internally or even out loud to close friends or whoever, and you want to relate it to a story, pull it back. I know it's tempting. It's going to be even hard at first. It's going to be like you're biting your tongue, if you will. But you're going to have to do it because you need that balance right now, and you need to explore other sides of yourself. And I will be honest with you, it's almost like you're giving that version of yourself too much power, and you're the one that's supposed to be in control. You know what I mean? It's not unlike, not to be like this, but it's not unlike, and if anybody who is like a parent in the comments, please speak up. You know how you like want to be there for your kid, but there is a certain point where it's like, okay, I hear you, but like, let's pilot this ship, if you will. Like we gotta both be in the discussion. It can't just be like one way type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa, I would argue the other way, just remember that. But anyways, going forward, we've got the 9 of Cups in reverse. Now, in this particular case, I do see with it interacting with the sun, one of the things I do see you struggling with in February, and we're going to give this a lot of love and concern and care, so that you both don't go back to focusing on this version of yourself, but you can still get the support you need. I do see a lot of pickiness. Now, the beautiful thing is 9 of Cups is objectively upright or reverse is an extremely positive card. So it talks about like wishes coming true. And these are like big wishes. So I do ultimately see you getting kind of like everything you want. So like you want a good a parking spot, you're going to get a really good parking spot. You really want this like limited edition something. Guess what? Yes, you're going to get it. And that kind of goes on and on. However, I see a pickiness. So it's like you got the thing, but you didn't like how you received it. Or, yeah, you got a good parking spot, but this other one's an even better parking spot, and this is how you just feel internally. And why didn't you get that? And instead of realizing, no, they're both actually totally great. You're overthinking this with love. And so the point is, you're not going to be mean to that version of yourself, but you're also, I want to be clear, not going to cater to it and sort of rob your own self of happiness. That's the main problem I see popping up as you adjust from pulling away from giving this part of yourself so much attention. You're going to kind of catch yourself when you're in that mindset, and you're going to start practicing. Is there another way you can do this? Now, I want to be clear. I totally hear where people are coming from when it talks about like toxic positivity, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In order to connect to happiness and fun when you're coming out of either a not great time in your life or a state of mind that is skewed by negativity or, hardship, you don't just organically, you're not just like, ha ha ha, I am now happy. You kind of have to try. You kind of have to exercise it like a muscle, even if it doesn't feel super genuine at first. Now, we're not talking about repressing anything, avoiding anything, not at all. But there is a certain point where you need to be like, what if I just did a little silly dance and it felt a little awkward and it didn't feel exactly right, but I just tried it. I just tried it out. That's kind of the energy going on in the 9 of Cups, is you see the other parking spot and you're so tempted to be like, but it's not exactly what I want. And you have to catch yourself, and you're going to still practice being loving, and you're going to say, I know, this is to yourself. I hear you, but this is actually, and you're going to kind of be your own sort of loving person, and you're going to take charge and let that be the dominant voice. But you know what? This is actually a pretty great spot. Let's just allow ourselves to enjoy it. And now, this is something a lot of people I don't hear talk about, but I think is underrated. When you try to rearrange your emotions, rearrange your viewpoint. That's more what I want to say. There is a meditative moment you kind of need to take. Because when something happens, I think we can all attest to this, it takes you, sometimes it takes us a second to realize we're upset, or to realize we're happy, or we're even surprised. And so go figure, learning to find happiness in the moment takes a second. So you're going to say something like that to yourself, and then you're going to just be quiet for 10 whole seconds. You don't need to force any feelings, you don't need to force any thoughts, but you're allowing yourself almost to be blank as much as possible. And what you're doing is allowing the words you've said to yourself to sink in. You're allowing your body to catch up. You're allowing your mind to catch up. You're just practicing this like meditative 10 seconds right after you've sort of declaratively re-pepped yourself up, made a decision. You get what I'm saying? So you're going to really be mindful of supporting that version of yourself that comes in, that picky version of yourself. But you're also going to kind of be like, hey, listen, we kind of have to get a grip. We're getting everything we want. We're going to enjoy this, okay? We're going to enjoy this. Now, going forward, I actually want to skip this card and go right into the Five of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the great thing about this is it's in reverse. I do see that there has been quite a bit of a financial struggle. In many cases, I do see people who are struggling to get new jobs. Now, the cool thing is I see a reverse. I also see, Spirit is showing me like visuals mentally of, I see phones. Now, keep in mind, I don't see actual phone calls. I think you're going to get emails, but representatively, phone calls saying, hey, we wanted to bring you in to schedule a meeting and we'd like to interview you. We'd like a second callback interview, or we want to see if you're a right fit and we want to try you out for 2 weeks, or you did get the job and we're calling to let you know, can you start in March? That kind of energy. So it's not fully, and then the job is happening in February, but I do see the getting the jobs, which is great. And I just want to double check with Spirit if there's any other meanings. There is, but we're going to go over that. Okay, so finishing my point. I see we're starting we're receiving confirmation that we're moving in that direction. And then in March, I just want to clarify with Spirit, it's March, not later. I heard March in some cases, April in others. Okay, cool. So in March, April, I see then the starting of it. But in some cases, you might need to be called back like a couple times, depending on how high up you are in certain fields and jobs. Like it might take, or, I kind of see like in some cases, like a psych out where like they call you in, you think you got it, then you didn't hear back, then you think you didn't get it. Then they call you back and said, hey, that other person we hired instead of you, it didn't work out with them. You want to come in again? You see what I'm saying? So it's the beautiful thing is we see some momentum, we see some confirmations, we're moving in that direction, we're moving out of not having the new job or not having a job at all. And then the beautiful thing is either in March or April, we see you starting the job, which is great. So now, and let me just double check with Spirit what the other meaning is. Oh, interesting. Okay, so is there anything else you want to add? Okay, this is really interesting. So one of the main factors they say is you moving out of a poverty mindset. Now, specifically, they said that they, like the spirits in the spirit realm, are going to be sending you several dreams. This is what sort of ignites it. And there's this energetic version of you I see. There's this excitement. It's like suddenly you question your own way of phrasing things, approaching things, the natural nervousness you feel about certain ideas. And suddenly you're feeling this beautiful sense of, wait, what if I approached it in this way? It's interesting. We talked about over here a change in mindset. Over here, we talked about change in mindset. I think it's really interesting that this card often deals with a change in mindset. So I'm really sensing a theme, if you will, for your February. And so you're going to have these dreams. They're going to start exciting you. They're going to make you approach how you spend money, see money, in general, in a totally different way. And unfortunately, but this is also fortunate, Spirit said that this is the main thing that's been holding you back. So this is the month that you change, that you view things differently, and therefore change your situation. So, because remember, Five of Pentacles in reverse is you're leaving a negative financial circumstance. Five of Pentacles is not just purely mental. It is, in fact, like, it's not, I can see the confirmation that it's been hard for you. And the beautiful thing is we talk about in whether the two different meanings, depending on where you're at in this reading, both versions of you are benefiting from a change, a momentum, whether that be an action done for you or a mindset you feel excited to connect to. And that is the catalyst that you start, I hope in time you start to connect that it came from you. And I hope in time you use that as more of like a offensive or like an active participant that goes, I'm not going to wait for the universe to work out and mold and change around me. I'm going to be the person that's a key player. Do you see what I'm saying? So love the confirmation that that's changing in February. Love the momentum we're building into the next month. Love that for you. And then finally, we have the Hangman card, which I specifically want to talk about how it's, hold on, Spirit's hopping in. Give me a second. They said both cards. Okay. Oh, interesting. They said, we want to both look at, in both situations, these individuals do not feel like they want to look at this individual. Now, the interesting thing is, instead of it being upright, where it would be understandable that they wouldn't want to look at that imagery, instead, we have a scenario where both of these people don't want to see an individual who's sort of, triumphed, if you will. He's in a position, if we really spin reality on its head and say the earth, is upside down in this circumstance, he can now pull himself out of the circumstances he's in. No longer do the ropes technically hold him, if you will. And this is all from his perspective. So it's like he's seeing that as his reality, while other people might be like, no, he's trapped, he's stuck, there's no way he's going to get out. He's already seeing himself as like, if I bend down and I view it the same way as if I was standing up and standing straight, when we think of gravity, back to the gravity having a purpose and being real. If I stood up, I would just bend down and untie it. What's the difference between doing a sit-up here or a pull-up and making the same happen? And this all came from the ingeniousness of him not being tied to one mindset of like the everyday rules. Now that is really important. These individuals don't like that. That upsets them that somebody is so out of the box thinking. And this out of the box thinking ultimately frees him. So it's a good thing he's freed. It's almost like people are not upset that he's free, but they're upset at how he got there to be free, which is really important. These are different, totally different mindsets. You know what I mean? This is more like mental and the way you view things. Both of these cards talk about physical reality, getting things, losing things, receiving things again. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, I know we talked about mindset, but hear what I'm saying when we talk about defining the traditional meaning of the cards. So in this particular case, we've got February. You really are going, I just feel it's, the best way I can say it is it's very organic in you. Like, it's not really anything I need to tell you to look for or aim for. There's just this general sense within inside yourself that you're like, what if I did something different here? I know everyone sees it this way, but I see it this way. And it just feels like it bubbles out of you. And it feels like it bubbles out of you from like literally not your stomach, but like the middle part of between your stomach and your heart, like your core. And you feel it. It's like an actual energy like passing through you of creativity. And suddenly you approach things in such a way that it frees you from maybe the hard work everyone else is doing. It frees you from the position other people are suffering from. It frees you from the circumstances everybody else thinks they have to endure. And I just see it popping up over and over and over again. And the more I see it, because there's different scenarios. I see a version of yourself where you're not acknowledging it hard enough, and so it only happens like maybe a couple times a week, which is still a lot. But there's another version of you that fully acknowledges, oh wow, a sensation's happening. Oh, when this sensation happens, I get this creative idea. When I follow this creative idea, X, Y, and Z happens. And when this happens, I then become free in another way. And you start to connect more and more to paying attention to that sensation, celebrating it, and interacting with it more. And when you do throughout this month and you dive more deeper into these actions that ultimately free you, and you feel this, it's almost like you constantly feel like you're jumping the line. You're hopping the line in front of everyone else. And for some reason this month, you don't feel so guilty about it. You don't feel like you've somehow wronged others because you've made positive choices. Now, this is good because I'll be honest with you, you are going to unintentionally make a lot of people angry. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. You're going to leave those people behind because it's not personal to you and your character. They are offended that you are not following the unspoken rules of their reality. And you're like, yeah, I don't even want to follow those rules anymore. And you're just going to leave them behind. You're going to move forward. You're going to hop in front of the line. No one says they can't hop the line. And you're just going to keep more and more freeing yourself. Just constantly realizing as the month goes through, oh, I didn't realize this was holding me back. Oh, I didn't realize I was in another version of a cage. I didn't realize that this could be easier, or I didn't have to put up with X, Y, and Z, and I could have a better scenario. Do you see what I'm saying? Over and over again. So I'm really excited for you because all of these things ultimately talk about a lot of positivity, success, getting what you want, being free, but it does talk about some, choices you have to make. Some of them come a lot more naturally than others over here, but either way, you will make them. You will be someone you can depend on. You will feel yourself graduating in more ways than one, emotionally, through the way you perceive yourself, through the way you perceive your world. And ultimately, February is like a pretty kind of a crazy month for you in that way, because I would argue you're changing a lot about your perspective and your reality, and there are going to be some really positive but big effects. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, like, subscribe, check out the Patreon. We do extra tarot in there as well. Love you guys so much, and let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's look at your February by looking at the cards. We've got the 9 of Pentacles upright, the High Priestess in reverse. Ooh, I'm very interested about what's going on over here. Oh my God, the Emperor in reverse. The 4 of Pentacles in reverse? I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. This is kind of insane. Give me a moment to look at them, talk to the crew. I'll be with you in one moment. Okay, the first thing I want to point out is the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. The biggest thing I am, interestingly enough, really drawn to are the shoes here. How do I say this? There is a difference in the shoes they have over here compared to the person next to them, and the lack of shoes we can see here. In the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, this traditionally talks about the idea that you are leaving behind the mindset where you kind of need to hoard money. It's sort of a lacking mindset. There's this perspective of oh, I don't know when I'm going to be able to make money next, so I better save everything. And when it's in reverse, you're finally forget it. You know what? Let's go get that thing I said we couldn't a moment ago. You know what? Let's just go have dinner and go have fun. Forget it. It will all work out. And you're sort of coming out of a pretty intense, sort of tightened up kind of reaction. But the reason why I'm so drawn to the shoes specifically is in this individual looks like as they sort of beg for the money, they want the money from this individual, they're asking too much from this person. They are in a position where they can take care of themselves, but maybe it's a little harder or more precarious for them. They've got shoes, but it's not the best kind of shoes. Then we have someone in the same mindset as this individual. Their shoes are objectively much nicer and can last longer. So they shouldn't even be asking the way this individual is. But this third person, we can make assumptions about what their shoes are like and what that says about if they actually should be asking this individual for money or not. But in reality, it's kind of left up to us to more be conscious of oh, okay, so we are deciding on some level who gets what and why. So there isn't just a general generousness. The generousness is circumstantial. Okay? Now, we're not critiquing that and we're not criticizing that. We're just talking about this objectively as a viewpoint, a perspective. Because I see that that often happens with you and how you give money to others, and how that money then in turn, like the way how you give money and then what you're left with, and then the sort of tightness it creates within you. It's really important, but I also see the guarantee in February that you're going to change that pattern. So part of your perspective of tightening up, holding on, keeping that, what's the word? Like not wanting to spend money because you're worried about what will happen next kind of energy majorly comes from who are you supporting. In some cases, you feel more free with some people, and I'm talking about close loved ones. Some of them you feel like, I'll get you anything you want, but then you don't feel that way with others. Do you see what I'm saying? And for people who are like, well, it's just me and my dog. Okay, well, you feel very free giving it to your dog, but maybe you struggle a little bit sharing with your friends. And I'm not talking about buying things for your friends, but maybe your friends are saying, hey, we want to go out. We want to go have fun. And you're like, I can't. I'm trying to save money. I'm just not really sure what's going to happen next. Now, again, we're not critiquing that. We're just looking at everything neutrally. So what ends up happening is, because there is this sort of grip, if you will, internally within you of how much you'll feel free and when you feel free, there is unconsciously a part of yourself that's being pulled back and forth like a rubber band that is slowly losing its elasticity. You don't realize that you're not only stressing yourself out from the perspective of just purely thinking, well, I don't know what will happen next, I should save money now, and kind of already assuming the worst mentality. Again, we're not anti-saving here. We're just saying it's the lacking mindset. But you're also unconsciously putting yourself through stress if that's your baseline foundation in how you view your financial situation, then you kind of unconsciously stress yourself out with who you give more of it to compared to another. Because back to the example of the dog and the friend example, there's a part of yourself that is happy to give that to your dog, or cat. But there's a part of yourself that is like, oh no, now what do I do? Like I'm glad I helped them, or I treated them to this thing, or I love them, I want to give them the world, but now I am stressed again. And then there's a part of yourself that says no to a friend and feels, oh, are they maybe pulling away from me because I'm not able to go out to lunch with them like I used to? Should I judge my friend for this? Are they even thinking that? Is this in my head? See what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of putting yourself through a lot of mental frames. Now, the beautiful thing is we have the guarantee in the month that you do break away from this, because suddenly you start to say to yourself, not, okay, I'll go spend all my money, who cares? What even matters? But it just feels like you start to follow a feeling rather than a set mindset. In that feeling, you start to make unconventional choices than you normally would. And that means sometimes saying no to the dog or cat or a loved one than you normally would say yes. And sometimes that means you say yes to the friend or other loved one you would normally say no to. And it's not about doing the opposite. It's just that you follow a sense of a feeling. And you allow yourself to acknowledge when it feels bad or when it feels good, rather than already creating an environment internally within yourself where you already feel bad, you're already stressed, and you're almost trying to micromanage something that has already been decided. You've already decided you're miserable. You've already decided you don't have enough and there won't be enough in the future. Now, I know people get kind of upset when they hear this, but it is true. You honestly do not know what will happen tomorrow. You do not know that you won't get more. You do not know that there isn't another shift around the corner, a better paying job, money falling out of the sky. I mean, anything. It genuinely at any moment could get better. And there is just this grip you have internally inside yourself for a long time now where you thought, no, it has to be guaranteed. I didn't say it's not guaranteed, but you're not allowing it to even be a possibility. You're like unaware of how much you're holding it. So the beautiful thing is, you're going to start practicing this. You're start breathing. But before you spend money, you're going to take a second. You're going to breathe, and you're going to say, what feels best? You need to start connecting to the idea that if basic needs aren't being met, that you need to internally say to yourself, yeah, that makes me feel bad. I would feel better if I just got the thing I've been needing for a while. You know what I mean? Like I need this body wash. I need this shampoo. I need these razors. You get what I'm saying? This is you starting, making sort of, let's just say as you release your grip on this mentality, it's a rough. You're really like pulling against that grip that's like clinging on. But I do see you, as the month continues, getting better at being able to emotionally connect moment to moment. And the beautiful thing is, there is a part of yourself that you haven't been willing to trust until now, and you're going to get to explore this. You know intuitively when it's the right time to spend money and when it's the time to save. When it's the time to get excited for the abundance that's happening and why not try this out, and when you think it's maybe wiser to kind of go more dormant and hold on to your money. But you're never letting that exist because you're not letting yourself breathe emotionally. February is the month that you start to actively question yourself, connect to your emotions, and to explore and start to see proof that your intuition works way better financially than you are aware of. But that only happens from not only questioning yourself, checking in more with your emotions, and learning to reconnecting with them so you can really be a participant with your intuition, but also you need to call yourself out. You've got favorites. You do. In your life, you have favorites. And you need to stop operating from a favorites mentality of who you give more to, who you give less to, because it is, like we talked about with the rubber band analogy, your elasticity is snapping. You are not doing well. You are overstraining yourself. In having those favorites and spending when you feel like you can't and not spending when maybe you should, you are essentially creating a deeper grip and strain within yourself. They are in their own way your own set of rules. And so what you're going to do is you're going to say, I got to stop operating from this place because it's messing with my intuition. It's its own set of rules I'm following and implying that I have to answer in this way. You don't. You just follow what you feel. Now going forward, because that was a big one, we've got kind of an opposite thing going on. Well, not kind of, I'm being facetious. In the Nine of Pentacles, this queen is doing very financially well. And she's not just doing financially well, she can buy and spend kind of like whatever she wants very comfortably. She is very much in charge. So she's not only in charge of the money, but she's also in charge of so she would be in a leadership position most likely, like a manager or something like that. She tends to work independently, so she'd be high up, but she'd often get a lot of space and independence to do it by herself. Now, the main thing I see from you is you needing to explore, I don't want to say the term side hustles, but there is some ways you can make extra money, but it's got to be a path you take your own. Now, this path I see you taking on your own feels fun. It feels empowering. And it's this exciting thing where I do see you learning a new sense of skill, a new way of approaching how you can make money, a new relationship with money. And I do see results within 3-4 months. But the decisions you make now in February already feel bountiful, already feel exciting. It's like you can feel, when we talk about connecting to your intuitions and emotion, it's like you already know you're on the right path. So this is a side thing. I do see this happening. Now, could this become a full-time thing? We're going to have to look into future card readings to find out what happens. But for now, I do see it as a possibility that it can be. And at the minimum, it's just like a way of relieving stress as much as it's gaining you money. Like, it's fun for you to do the research. It's fun for you to explore and set it up. So I'm excited for you because it is a very financially abundant card. So I love that for you. Now going forward, I want to talk about this intense energy in the High Priestess in reverse and the Emperor in reverse. This is such a weird thing to say. I apologize. I'm just reading what the cards say. I do see a set of parental figures. In some cases, it can be in-laws. But I do see parental figures being, I'm so sorry. I have literally never said this before. disappointed in you. I hate saying that. I really hate saying that. But I do unfortunately see it. Now let's go into this a little bit, because as soon as I see that, I'm just like, what is going on? Now the main factor going on, and this will give you some sense of relief, or it might not, but it should, or I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I hope it does. But it does not feel that you did actually anything wrong. It feels like they have something going on in their personal lives, and unfortunately they are taking it out on you. Now the beautiful thing is, you should probably most likely avoid this, because again, it has nothing to do with you, and you do not need to endure something that they're going to not only apologize later, but like, let's be honest with you. Great, your apology is nice and everything. You left a lot of emotional stuff and baggage. Great, awesome. I'm left with that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, the sorry doesn't feel that good. And so the reality is you're going to really take February to be like, oh, I can't come around. I'm busy. You're going to be not as available. You're going to do whatever you can to just be like, oh, like nothing personal. You're making it clear to those individuals, I'm not angry. We're totally cool. I'm just busy. And they will feel how they want to feel in private. You're going to probably sense it most likely from like afar, or feel it in the tone of their voice. Do not react. Do not react. You are welcome to set boundaries and show that you maybe didn't like something, but you're not going to go very hard with your reaction. You're not going to really talk back. You're not going to really, you're just setting enough of a clear boundary through showing you're not entirely happy. But the heavier boundary is you're just not going to be available. Most of the unavailability should come off as neutral, like you're just generally busy, but you are okay to say to them, yeah, now I don't feel like coming around. I think I'm going to do my own thing. And if they try to be like, oh, you're not going to come around, you're going to be like, yeah, have a nice day. And show some sense of a boundary. You know what I'm saying? But the beautiful thing is I do see it ending like beginning more midway in March, if I'm being perfectly honest. It goes on for a little while. They're going through something. But you really want to avoid this, essentially, because why do you need to go through this stress and awareness? And also, it's a great way to say, what am I doing for the month of February? I'm keeping busy. I'm going to do whatever I can to declare things as events. So even if it's like you're doing your nails at home, I can't hang out. I'm doing my nails. Oh, I could come over to do my nails. Nope. I need no distractions. I'm doing my nails by myself. Or, I already have plans. I'm going to someone else's house and I can't invite you. I'm doing something else. That's very much the energy I see popping up and coming through. You're just really getting out of there. Now, let me just ask Spirit if there's anything else that you need to know at this point in time. Oh, they said, nope, those are the most important things you need to know. Okay, great. Well, overall, it's kind of a more intense energy, but I'm kind of not surprised at this point with what I was reading in the other card readings in the other groups. It just seems to be that way this month. The biggest thing I've noticed in the other card readings too is because there's some like really intense energetic change I can see happening in the general universe in February. It feels like everybody is getting like a reset. Their energy's changing. Maybe you're feeling the energy change in the people around you, and things can be a little off and weird. And often people want to label that in order to find a sense of grounding, but sometimes there aren't words for it, and it's important to stay neutral and not internalize it, because there's nothing to internalize. You're just feeling weird energy either from others or yourself, and it is not something, meaning it's not like it might feel bad, but it isn't bad. Does that make sense? Things are a little weird. They're getting resituated. Now, the beautiful thing is I see some positive changes for you. And I see some fun ways you're going to distract yourself by avoiding other people's massive changes. So keep that in mind. February is still going to be good, but there is still, especially over here, some decisions to be made, and as well as fun ones. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll leave a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon. We do extra tarot there as well, exclusive tarot. I will see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out what's going on in your February by looking at the cards. We've got the Empress card upright, the Hierophant upright, the Four of Swords in reverse, and the Six of Swords in reverse. I'm very curious to look into this. Give me a second to look at the details of the cards as well as communicate with the spirits. I'll be with you in one moment. Okay, so I'm going to get started right away with the Four of Swords in reverse energy. You are going to be getting up and at 'em in February. How do I say this? So cards have a context to them. They're often saying things without saying things, or saying things when they're implying other things. So in the Four of Swords in reverse, I do see somebody who maybe was like finding themselves sleeping a lot, taking a lot of naps, feeling more exhausted than normal. And the beautiful thing is, suddenly you are filled with energy. I mean, I'm talking barely any sleep. You are just up and at 'em, and you are ready to do things. Now, Spirit says you should actually remain like super busy. Now, we're not talking to the point where you're not taking breaks, you're exhausted, or it makes you unhappy. If it makes you unhappy, take a break, take a break. We're not talking about working. We're more talking about the idea of keeping yourself busy. That's how Spirit put it. So a big image they were using, and it's actually my favorite thing right now, so I'm just putting this out there, is keeping some form of a pocket sketchbook. The idea of a pocket sketchbook is it is small and something you can easily put in your pocket or purse, depending on what you rock, or a backpack. It's easily portable, easy to enjoy, and then the general fun part about it is you can do anything with it. So for artists, yes, they can sketch and draw and work out ideas in there, but if you are somebody who does not feel an inclination to express yourself artistically like that, you can write quotes, things that you find interesting, something funny a friend said or did, music you want to check out, art that moved you, anything. You can just write things down. You can write down, maybe you're learning a language and you want to practice writing down words or paragraphs. I mean, you can do anything, but the idea is that you're reaching for creating stuff. You're reaching outside of the scrolling. You're reaching outside of something being given to you, and you instead are the one creating it yourself. So the idea is this energy, when it's not being done something like at a job, or maybe you're doing chores around the house or things you've been meaning to take care of for a while. I see a lot of energy that's being done in that fun kind of creative way where it doesn't need to have a purpose now, or ever even have a long-term purpose. It's just a sense of, well, I'm up and it's 2 a.m. How do I want to spend that energy? So that's really fun and exciting, and just a great way to spend February. I just want to point that out there. Here, let me just center the screen a little more. Now, where am I being drawn next? The Empress card the spirits are pointing out. Okay, good, because I am feeling drawn there. I wanted to talk about the Six of Swords, but I can tell they want this Empress. Okay, so in the Empress card, I want to talk about how she almost feels like she could potentially interact with the Hierophant, but she's not. This is important. We're talking about the subtext of her not interacting with the Hierophant. So oftentimes when two cards are interacting with each other, and they kind of have this singular sort of kind of energy, it can often take the form of like a couple of some kind, or figures. Like it can start to cross over into real life territory. This just depends on how you read the cards and maybe what you uncover multiple times through readings and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But in this particular case, it is about the lack of a coupling. This is really important. So in the Empress card, we see somebody who is the pinnacle of growth. She always has a garden blooming and creating more. She doesn't even have to lift a finger. She doesn't even think about it, compared to the Queen of Pentacles, who's more of like an active crafter and very conscious of it. She's just at all times a deep level of abundance. And the important thing is she is not interacting with the Hierophant. Now remember, the Hierophant's not being done in reverse. Traditionally, when it's upright, we're talking about things like knowledge. It can deal with things like, documents and stuff like that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking more about knowledge. And we're talking about the traditional sense. So anything you'd read out of like going to classic literature, going to a school where you're, the big book of psychology, something like that. You know what I mean? Some sort of classical way of educating yourself. And with it being upright, She is saying, and her lack of interacting with it is saying, I, in fact, do not need that. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm actually very pro-learning. I'm not implying we're anti that in this message. I want to be clear about that. I really love it. I think there's something always new and cool to learn in like literally every subject. But this is really important here. She is starting to connect, or in this particular case, she's already connected to this. You're starting to connect to the realization that you don't need to say, hey, I'm smart because, and give all the reasons why you're smart. Oh, I went to this school, I read this book, let me give you proof of this thing that society respects to define my intelligence. Your intelligence, like the Empress card, is ever growing, ever abundant. You can't help but examine things in the world around you and gain more information and be able to analyze it and get something out of it more than the average person. You are a very intelligent person, but you are holding yourself back by feeling like you need to constantly explain yourself. You are going to take the Empress's approach. She's got two things going on for her. She's both chilling out, she's resting, but she is proactive. It's kind of I don't want to say catch-22, but like what's it called? Two opposing things existing at once. If you can remember the word for that, please remind me. But in the comments below. But she no longer feels like she needs to explain herself or clarify to everybody why and how she's intelligent. So she kind of pulls back. She doesn't worry if maybe people are like, oh, she's not saying anything. She must not be smart. She doesn't worry about trying to make it clear to those people. But she still is radiating this level of intelligence that benefits her. You naturally move and put forward projects and interests rather than wasting your time trying to show people those projects. I see you finding a deep sense of self this month as you lean into that energy. I see you actually being more productive in a more relaxing way and more fulfilling from less projects. You don't feel like you need to prove yourself through quantities and lists in February. You feel like you really lose yourself in something that might only be 2 hours but feels like 8 to you. And you lose yourself in the right kind of information. You're no longer somebody that's like, well, I have to read this book because this book will really prove to others that I understand the subject. Because traditionally, we're talking about the Hierophant being really traditional, is the best way to explain to others this particular subject. You start to, as the intelligent person you are, be like, well, what if my resource came from something that most people don't know or maybe don't even respect, but I'm starting to see the potential in it. Because you're so intelligent, you can get anything from anything. You start to allow yourself to enjoy the fun of learning in a different way. And this is important because you're not wasting your time anymore explaining to others your intelligence and sort of slowing yourself down by kind of keeping yourself at their level to get them to be on your side enough or give you the validation you're hoping for. You end up just moving forward into some really cool concepts and directions. I do see a big marination change in subjects. Like marination change is such a weird way of putting it. Like you find new subjects that you feel interested in and you really explore them creatively by like diving deep. Like let's say you get really into fashion and finding all of these fashion YouTubers and start to allow yourself to dig into them. And as you dig into them, you start to learn new terms and phrases and it leads you to sewing YouTube and you start to go dig deeper into that and you start to make your own clothes and thrift flip and do all this like fun, cool stuff. You see what I'm saying here? I see a really fun sort of almost like mental sketchbook time period, a mental resource gathering time period. And you get more out of it than the average person. Because again, you're not just purely thinking of what can I do and then how can it make me more money? You're going, what is that? How can I use that? Can it be looked at this way? What does it mean if it's looked at this way? You're really, really allowing yourself to explore this part of your intelligence in a way you don't always foster. It's always been there. Again, we talk about the Empress. It's always been there. But now you really get to explore it. And it opens up some new gates, which I'm really excited about for you. Now, I do want to move on to, I'm just asking Spirit, because Spirit's really like vocally being like, and we're doing this now, and that's fine. So I'm just want to hear what they have to say. You want to go to the Hierophant again. Okay, what about the Hierophant? Oh, I'm hearing for some college students, there's going to be a big major change in your major. Okay. Oh, and this is the month you do it? Do they already know what the major change is? Oh, they're going to figure it out this month and make a radical change. Okay. Get ready for that life change. Anything else with the Hierophant? Now we can move to the Six of Swords. Okay. In the Six of Swords reverse, I want to specifically talk about the relationship between it and the Four of Swords. In the Six of Swords, we see traditionally when it's upright, and we do want to view this card despite it being in reverse, we want to view it upright. It's only in reverse because it's interacting with this card, but upright, we can see somebody who's helping somebody else, and this is important. They haven't gone out into the journey yet, we talk about this being the before tarot deck, but as they enter the boat, they already have these swords in it. That means the boat will most likely carry water. Now, in this particular case, this version of the card, we don't have a guarantee will they make it to the other side. Or was it a mistake all along that you could either view it two different ways. That they either took the person, they shouldn't have taken the person with them. It would add more weight to the boat and add more water. Or is it a mistake that they took the boat at all? But then you would ask, well, was it the only boat they could choose? You see what I'm saying? The energy is like, is it going to work out? And if we already think it's not going to work out, or it's going to be a hassle, and because remember the Six of Swords is a very like slow card, something's being worked out very slowly. Often it refers to health taking a while to get through kind of energetically. You start to ask yourself, where am I shifting the blame, and this is important, what does that say about me? That I either shift the blame or where I shift the blame. This is really important now. Now over here, we see that energy being brought into the Four of Swords. And we want to specifically talk about how the card is still meaning what we talked about in the very beginning, where we talked about this big, positive, energetic change. You're putting all this energy anywhere. But when we see this energy interacting with this, now I want to be clear, this is not energy I'm very happy to say, it's not going to fully affect you, but you are going to need to make some decisions in order to cut it off. Because instead of you being this person who is saying to themselves, do I need to take the boat? Should I not take the boat? Should I say no to bringing this passenger? Is it going to weigh it down? Are we going to make it? In fact, this is all outside forces. I do see that the outside forces are less like individual people and more like life circumstances. So they are things that it feels like the universe is a little bit, and I apologize to say this, we're going to see right now if we can change it. But it's very like your car having issues kind of vibes, where it's like something happens that could test you and make you slow down. It's like the universe saying, look at this slow, heavy energy that might take a little while to fix. Do you want to interact with it and take on that energy? And that's important. You have all this fuel, you have all this fire. You're going to say back to that energy, no. I am actually not going to be getting on this boat. I'm not interacting with this boat. I'm not the person who put the swords in. I'm not the person who's going to take other people on. I'm not the passenger. This boat and me, no. It's tempting because it wants to engage an emotional reaction out of you. This is really important. It wants to pull an emotional reaction out of you, like we gave an example, something like a car. But it's your job to say, I will not take in that energy. Now, let's ask real quickly, before I explain a little more so this makes a little more sense, I just want to ask Spirit if we can change this at all, or if it's like it has to happen. Okay, can you give an example how we can change that? Okay, so unfortunately, this is a canon event, meaning like it has to happen. But Spirit did say that you can change how long it actually occurs. So you can speed up the boat, if you will, with how you interact with it. So for example, we're using the car as an example. Again, we're not manifesting that for you. I'm just saying it as an example. But let's say that is the problem, right? You could The slowness would be emotionally reacting to it. You're in your head about things from like the money to how you're going to like get to work, all these things, but changing your emotional reaction and saying to yourself, am I or am I not going to engage emotionally with this idea? And we're talking about just like in your off time, is going to be the contributing factor of whether it comes into your space. And this is the reason why it's a canon event, is when we have really positive shifts and change. Weirdly, I know this is weird, but sometimes the universe works in such a way where it needs to sort of test you. Now, I want to be clear. I want to say this in the best way. It's not about the test, about it being like, are you worthy or not? No. It's more, sometimes we need propelling events to force us to make decisions and give answers to questions when we are not asking our questions ourselves. Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes when you make a decision, you'll be like, I asked for this thing, or I said this mantra. Why am I not seeing an effect in my environment? It's because there's some future version of yourself that might make the opposite decision. And so for it to take a little while before the manifestation, the mantra kicks in, is the universe saying, we need you to say over and over again this mantra. We need you to say over and over again this manifestation, because you're constantly reiterating to a future version of yourself, no, really, I'm going to stay in this new version of myself. I'm choosing to be wealthy. I'm choosing to be more proactive. I'm choosing to attract more peace and love and whatever it is your goals are. So with that being said, we're using the canon event as an example. It's the universe going, are you sure you're going to stay in this lighthearted, energetic, creative, constantly having fun energy or not? Are you going to be tempted by something and just give it up so easily, or are you going to defy it? So the way you would defy it is, so example, we're using the example again in the car. We're not manifesting it for you. We're just using it as an example. If you got the call and you were talking to the technician, you would choose to forget about it afterwards. You would choose to proactively go, okay, well, they're working on it. I bet you it's all going to work out. Why not? Why couldn't it just all work out? Why couldn't it even be free? Right? Okay? Why couldn't it be free? And then you just literally move on. And I just want to be clear here for anybody that's like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not kidding you this. I'm not kidding you this. One time I had a problem with my car engine. Okay, right? That's a crazy thing to replace financially. Guess how much money it cost me? It was free, baby! I literally said to the universe, I don't want to pay a dime. I don't want to pay a dime. It's too much money. No, it's free. And it was free. I kid you not. Please believe in the impossible. Please. It's so insane that it's possible. So you're going to choose how you react to this canon event. This reaction, this lack of emotional reaction, this lack of even being distracted by it, staying in your positive, excited, creative, bursting energy is what makes the canon event much shorter, not a big deal, and you're basically guaranteeing to the universe, no, I'm going to remain in this energy, period. I'm making the decision to stay in it proactively, and I'm going to be conscious of what could affect me, and then making choices accordingly that will keep me in that energy. So something really important to remember. So a little bit of pain, I know, but we're going to make it as pleasant as possible, as quick as possible, and keep those good vibes going. I really like how this reading is so creative, so intelligent, super internally resourceful. Like all that you could ever want to be and exist in and know is already within you, and you're just sort of exploring that, sitting back and finding comfort in it, and just owning it emotionally and mentally, and as well as, technically physically. So love that for you. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Please feel free to give this video a like and subscribe. And, I got a Patreon. I do exclusive tarot and other stuff over there as well. Please come join us. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.